Welcome back to Parent Squad. It's that time of school year for many schools, parent-teacher conferences. So how can parents prepare? And what do you do with what the teacher says? So here to help is Amanda Hauser. She is a mom of 8, an educator, and a contributor at Indianapolis Moms. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I always love when you come because I just feel like you are the guru, because after 8 children, you've just mastered it all. Like you should have the honorable PhD doctorate, like whatever we can give you. You are the yogi of of parenthood. Okay, so we're past the newness of the beginning of the year, and teachers are getting to know our kids. They're getting to know what they need and what their patterns are, both the good patterns and the bad patterns. What do we do with this information, and what are teachers seeing at this point?
Right, I, as a former educator and as a parent, kind of group patterns into 2, I guess, general buckets, right? There's kind of a social emotional bucket that we kind of look for patterns. And then there's also the academic. And what we need to remember, both as educators and as parents, is that neither one of those buckets can exist in isolation. That one directly coincides and affects the other. So the last time you and I visited, we kind of talked about behaviors and after school behaviors. And at that time we said behavior is a form of communication. So it's a good time at parent-teacher conferences to reflect on the behaviors of a child, both academic behaviors and social-emotional behaviors. And then what can we do with that information, and what can the function of those behaviors tell us about how to help the child?
Yes, can you say your statement again? Behavior is what?
All behavior is a form of communication.
It's a form of communication. I love that, and I think it's something for us to remember, because if you see your child not exhibiting good behavior, I mean, it's not them. They might be intentionally doing it, but what is it saying and where is it coming from is the question.
I always think this behavior just means that whether it be bad or good behavior, that child may not have the tools to tell you what he or she is thinking or feeling or needs. And they can't do that in any other way than to show you.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it maybe consciously,
yes,
but subconsciously.
And just what's such a good reminder, as a 19-month-old mom, I'm like, oh, okay, obviously he doesn't have language like that. But even as a 13-year-old or a 10-year-old, they might not have the language to say, you know, Mom, I was just feeling a bit tired or overwhelmed. They don't talk like that.
Right.
So, well, they do say tired, but they don't talk like that in terms of I'm feeling overwhelmed, I got flustered, or I'm nervous, or I don't understand and I didn't want to raise my hand.
Right, right. And so that's why it's so important for teachers and parents to have a dialogue so that they can both support each other's work. We know so much of what happens at home directly affects performance in the classroom, and vice versa. You know, what's happening at school translates at home. So it needs to be a collaborative team effort, and that communication is so vital. So parent-teacher conference time is a great time to really hone in on that communication. However, it should not be isolated. It should be an ongoing event.
Yes, yes. Okay, and so parents, they would be getting these reports. Hopefully they're positive, but sometimes they don't come back 100% positive, or maybe it's just something you should be aware of. What do parents do with the information they're receiving from the teacher?
That's a great question, because that information, even if it's negative information or less than stellar information, it's really hard sitting across a desk from a teacher as a parent, because you want what's best for your child, right? And so when you're hearing something that doesn't necessarily sit well, sometimes, and this might be a little confrontational or incriminating, or we have to do some self-reflection about what part am I playing in that? And that's really hard as a parent to kind of have to sit there and think, am I playing a part of this? I don't really like the word problem, but like issue or challenge. Am I playing
behavior
the
that we're trying to
behavior,
change,
or just a situation that is less than ideal? Because when we really start to reflect, as a parent, are we doing everything that's necessary to set our child up for success? So what does that look like? We know that we cannot learn unless we feel safe and connected.
Yeah, yeah.
And safety and connection, sure, on a very basic level can be like, am I physically safe in this school building, or am I physically safe? But can also just mean, do I feel safe to explore my emotions? Do I feel safe to share? So what are we doing at home to make sure that our children are feeling safe and connected, and are they able to come to school and learn?
And I guess I want to underline, like, okay, parents, let's take a breath.
Right.
Because there has to be some grace here, because I can see parents,
sure.
they are working, they might have multiple children. You have 8 children yourself.
Yeah.
So you know it, and we're all working through our own personal things too. And sometimes it just needs that's why the communication and the reset and the discussion is just so important.
Oh my goodness.
It's like going to the doctor. You don't always want to hear what they have to say, but we got to do it.
We got to do it. And it's critical that we always maintain that mindset that you and I
On a team.
we are on a team, and we are doing the best we can with what we have every day.
Yeah.
I don't know any parent, and I definitely don't know any teachers who show up and say, I'm just going to be the worst version of myself today.
Right. Right.
We all have that mindset that we want what's best, and we are just doing the best with what we have. Mm-hmm. And I will be the first to admit that I fail forward every day. There are days I am shoving a Pop-Tart in my kid's book bag as we are hustling out the door and saying a quick prayer that, boy, I hope that holds till lunch, right? Because that's the best that we can do on some days. So when you get challenging information, it's important to reflect on if you are playing a role in that, mm-hmm. and what you can do at home to provide all versions of safety and connection so learning and success can happen at school.
Absolutely.
And sometimes what we're facing at school, those are trivial things, and sometimes they're much deeper, mm-hmm. right? And,
yes.
And we need to rely on our teachers. They are trained experts, and they are usually spending more time with our children than we are.
Yeah, sometimes.
And so they are sometimes seeing behaviors that we don't see at home, mm-hmm. because at school, your child is in a completely different environment. The expectations are different. Mm-hmm. Those poor kids sometimes can't even go to the bathroom when they need to go. They're asking permission. They're having to sit for long periods of time. We are requiring so much more of our children at school than we are at home. So also keep in mind that a lot of the challenges they're facing them, you may not see them at home.
Yeah. Oh,
because the environment is not the same.
Yes, which is why it's a team, I want to say a team sport.
It is a team sport.
Which is why it is certainly a team atmosphere and a collaborative effort. And I want to underscore what you're saying, because I'm also the child of an educator. And my mom just knew, I guess I want to underscore the training that's happening here. Mm-hmm. It's not just, teachers are there to teach the material or the best strategies to get information into your child. They're also there to recognize that when your child may need more help emotionally, or if something else is going on, whether it be academically or behaviorally.
Right. Teachers don't teach just academics, right. or just behavior skills. Teachers teach holistically. We are teaching a whole child. And like I said earlier, you can't separate a child's academic well-being from their social and emotional well-being. You are educating little humans, mm-hmm. and they are having a human experience. And so we need to look at directly what is affecting their experience at school, and then reflect backwards of what can we do. Let's reverse engineer. If I am seeing this problem, let's reverse engineer that to see what I need to do to support the child in that particular area.
Okay, what if things seem too easy? You just get a stellar report, your child's just perfect, and yada, yada. Like, what do you do with that information?
Right, I would get this with parents a lot during parent-teacher conference time. They're like, I really want my child to feel more challenged. I think in today's academic environment, parents feel pressure to have a rigorous, enriching education for their child, right? It's getting ahead, getting into the right college. Well, if they're not in advanced math in 4th grade, they'll never be in algebra by 7th grade. And then we start to have panic attacks and sweat. They're so worried. And what I really think this is an awesome opportunity for teachers and families to think about enrichment differently. If we are truly enriching our child's lives, it's not just more. It's let's think about going deeper. So instead of, if I use an illustration of a first grade child, my first grade child is doing really well with first grade addition. Instead of saying, okay, well, let's move her on to subtraction, and then, maybe we'll get to multiplication by Christmas, and then by the end of the year, she'll be doing division, and she'll be doing all this, and
more.
What can we do to deepen her understanding of addition? So instead of going a mile wide and an inch deep, let's just take what's developmentally appropriate for your child at that age and just go deeper.
Okay.
Let them explore passions. If she's excelling at additions, okay, well, let's go into double-digit addition, triple-digit addition. Let's do addition with regrouping. Let's do addition story problems. Let's set up a store and play addition with money. And how can we enrich that experience more deeply but narrow?
I like that. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I also think it's a great way, before we spend a bunch of money as parents, which is really hard in this environment, before we spend a bunch of money on enrichment tutors and outside services, what can you do to support your child and enrich their life at home with their own inherent passions and purposes? So there's a lot of hand tying in education, at least public education, where we are dictated as teachers what we can teach.
Okay.
We have a dictated curriculum that we need to use, and we have an X amount of time in which to teach it. So in some ways, we are somewhat limited to our creativity within that realm. So at home and outside of school, that's a great time to develop the passions that children have that don't necessarily get attended to during the school day. And so if you have somebody, one of my sons was so into cars. So like, what can you do to develop that passion? Because that wasn't part of the curriculum he was provided at school, but I can really enrich his life outside of school with those. So parents play a huge role in that.
Yeah, and you might just enrich your own life in the process. Yes. Okay, Amanda, clearly a lot here. And the most important thing from what I gather, everything you're saying, is it's the engaged parent. The engaged parent is going to be the best parent.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you, Amanda. So you can read more of her post on Indianapolis Moms by heading to WTHR.com/ParentSquad.